Hey everyone, Chris Bentley here. Welcome to the Social 333 podcast. Our guest today is Rick Salmeron, and I just want to introduce him. Rick, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I'm an independent financial advisor here in Dallas, Texas, father of two, married of one beautiful woman, a huge support system in my life. I've been in the business since 1990. I opened my company in 2001. Primarily work with individuals, serve families and households that are doing well, they are successful in their right, in the accumulation phase of their life, and just don't want to press pause on their life and become a money expert anytime soon. They understand and value the benefits of a trusted advisor, and they have found me, and I'm happy to look over their shoulder to make sure that their money's headed in the right direction so that they can grow their life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So in terms of financial advisor, I know we talked kind of like off the record a little bit, but tell the audience, like, how does somebody actually become a financial advisor? Is like, I know there's like some tests involved and stuff like that, but like kind of go into kind of your journey of becoming a financial advisor.
Yeah, there are many paths in the financial advisory space. Some exams are involved. Sometimes people hold themselves out as financial advisor, but they haven't taken a test per se. It's not required that you take a test or get a certification. However, it does depend on what kind of path you want to go down. For myself, I started in 1990, became a life insurance agent, and that's what I did for the decade of the 90s. I don't do that actively anymore, but I've got my securities license. I have a CFP certification, which is the Certified Financial Planner certification. Those have emboldened me and empowered me to offer up the independent guidance and advice that I do for my clients right now. Is it necessary to be a CFP? No, it's not. Is it necessary to get the security licenses? No, not really. However, if you want to be an advisor or work with an advisor who can be deep and have options and have flexibility and liberty, you would want to work with someone who's got not only experience, but some of those licenses, because it's a very unknown industry. It's very much of a foreign space for a lot of people. And the largest brick, in my opinion, of the financial advisory relationship is trust. You can be really good and be all licensed up and know tons of investments and so on, but if that trust element is not there, then you're not looking down the right path.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, myself, I do a lot of trading. I know I talked about it before on a couple of shows, but, what really do you see in terms of like the best investment? Like if someone, I don't know, let's say they came into some money, let's say that they got some inheritance or whatever, like how would you kind of, depending obviously on age and like their goals and stuff, like what do you think like the best investment is right now?
There's not one best investment. If someone came to me with a lump sum, what do I do, Rick? I wouldn't know exactly. I would need to know far more about their point A, like where are they at? What's their family? What's their family history? What's their belief system about money? Do they have children? Do they not have children? What's the marital status? What's the risk tolerance? There's so many factors first before we deploy or determine where does this money go. I will say one thing, though. Many people do come to me from time to time and say, what is the best investment? Where's the best place to put my money? And so on. And if I had to choose one thing, this may sound odd, and it usually comes as a big surprise to everyone who I answer this question. The one area I always say to put time and money in is self-esteem. From a personal development standpoint, this has been my experience that I have made the best decisions with my own personal money, but also for my clients because I invested in myself, in my belief in myself. When you are living a life with a very high self-esteem, you create an empowerment. You start to walk with an additional step, a pep in your step, and you care about your future. So just imagine if there was such a thing as a self-esteem-o-meter, okay, that we could stick under our tongue like a thermometer to take a temperature, and that produced a reading, a self-esteem reading. Wouldn't you say that a person who lives a life with a self-esteem rating of, say, 84 is living a better life than one that's got a 32? So when you're living from a space of, I am my biggest fan, my self-estimate is so high, I care about my future, you're very conscious about the decisions that you make. You care about what happens tomorrow. You care about what happens 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years from now. And what does this have to do with money and financial and wealth accumulation? The answer is everything. You're more particular, you're more careful, you're more high quality oriented when it comes to your decisions with your money, what you do with it and what you don't do with it.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the self-esteem thing. Like, I know, obviously you can Google it, but I'm talking about just, what's your kind of definition of it? What can somebody, I'm brand new, I just got some money, I need to work on my self-esteem. Like, give me something, or give the audience something to kind of go with to like help get their self-esteem up.
Okay. So I would say, press pause. If I've come in with some money or I got some money, before you make any decisions on anything, just press pause and assess. If it's just from a money standpoint, take a look at your balance sheet. Take a look at your income statement. How are you doing? Are the results that you're seeing the kind of results that you feel really good about? Or do you identify a gap? Well, I see where I'm at. However, I see where I would like to be, and I'm not there yet. And frankly, I don't see momentum going in that direction. To me, that's a sign of what that person is doing, the habits that they're employing, that the actions that they're taking or the actions that they're not taking. Something needs to change, because when you take a look at your financial results today, they're all a result of the seeds that you have planted as early as yesterday, or as long as 10 and 15 and 20 years ago, and everything in between. Everything that you see today in your financial life and your money life is a result of what you have done in the past. So if what you've been doing in the past has produced something that, hey, I've made it, I'm good, I'm set, then you are on target. If, on the other hand, you've identified this gap of, gosh, okay, I'm okay where I'm at, or I really don't like what I see something better out there, then that is a sign that something needs to change, that you need to be planting new seeds or different seeds today, because those seeds, that's all you can do is plant the seeds. These are the actions that you take or the ones that you avoid. You have to plant those seeds that will either germinate right away or much later in time. You may not know when that is, but this is where, in my view, that self-esteem part comes into play, because you're careful then about how you're planting those seeds. You're careful about how you're showing up in the world. When you show up in the world, you attract higher quality people. Maybe in your job, you start to impress your manager more so than ever before. If you're in business for yourself, your clients, your customers, they see you as a source of greatness. And people like to hang out with great people, don't they? They like to emulate greatness. When I see someone who's great, I think, gosh, what could I be doing further with myself that I could continue to pursue down that path like this person that I admire? This levels up my spirit. It levels up the way I show up myself in the world, right? So when that happens, I'm either physically right away, consciously, or even subconsciously planting seeds right now as I'm alert and I'm self-aware of that. So when I notice that, yes, on paper, but I also notice that within inside me and the people that I'm hanging out with and what I'm reading and what's going on in between my two ears, when I start to notice that, and I'm also noticing that my life results are not as good as I would like them to be, that tells me something needs to change. And I can't depend on someone else to change them. I have to depend on me to change them.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think just having some positivity and some like loving yourself, and then doing some research as well is really like a key to trading, and like also just in life in general, which kind of gets me to who we had last time, which was Kevin, and he does Forex. And then, we were talking about Forex, and I know that I've talked to a lot of investors that, they get a small nugget and they want to turn it into like a home run play. And it's funny because it's like, and we laugh about it because it's just like, somebody gets $25,000 and they want to make 125,000 and they want to do it
Next
overnight
week.
and they want to
Sure.
do crypto or they want to do Forex or they want to do something that's a shaky investment. And not that any of that stuff is really shaky if you know what you're doing, but to the untrained eye and the untrained hand, just doing that kind of stuff is just risky. So I know that myself, I do some short term, I do some long term, but and I know we're all regulated here, but tell me a little bit about more what your strategy is. Do you do more long term? Do you do more equities, do more bonds? How do you kind of, I know everybody's different, but kind of slice me up an average or kind of what you try to do for people.
Everyone is different. There are many paths to this journey of wealth accumulation for sure, both short term and long term. For myself, my philosophy is very long term. I like to emulate the kings and the champions like Warren Buffett, for example. My approach is very dull, very unsexy, very boring. In my world, boring is beautiful. The more boring I can be with my clients' long-term money, in my opinion, the better. It's very tempting for us as human beings to be tempted by the shiny object syndrome. And I'm not here to pass judgment on that. I'm not casting values onto other people. That's just not a path that I choose to go down to, both personally as well as professionally, because I know that temptation is there. Getting $25,000, I'd love to double it, triple it, quadruple it in a matter of a month. Sure. Everyone would like to do that. That's what a lot of people like to do in Las Vegas. Does it happen? Yes. Do we hear about the other 99,999 stories that fail? No, but we know that happens. That's the arena of short-term and fast gains is out there, but it's not the reality. Warren Buffett is someone who, again, I like to look up to and I like to emulate. He's not the only one that does this, but a lot of people may not be aware that he grew his personal net worth, and he's probably the most successful investor that we know that's alive today. 95% of his personal net worth occurred after his 65th birthday. And some people don't know that. They just see the headlines. They see the end result. We see Usain Bolt doing the 100-meter dash in under 10 seconds. We don't see the 20 years that it took for him to get to that level. We don't see the decades upon decades of the Warren Buffetts that are out there to get to the level that they're at. It doesn't come fast. Can it? Yes. But if you want to pursue a path that's less stressful, less anxiety-filled, less full of possible landmines and chug holes that can set you back a lot of time, then my suggestion is to take the boring route. It doesn't excite people. It's not shiny, but you know what? It's been proven to work. Does that mean it's going to work every single time? Maybe not. Maybe not. But when you start to use a recipe that's been helpful for a lot of people in the past, then that catches my attention. That's my shiny object. It's not the one that's the meme this or the digital that, although it's out there. Whatever's going out there in that space will be replaced by something else in 5 years' time. And then you're always scratching your chin wondering, gosh, did I do the right thing back then? This is where it comes down to my own philosophy. Yes, it's long-term, but you know what? It's also a lot about behavior, very little to do with investment selection. As strange as that sounds, that is my approach.
Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. It's just difficult. I have some kids in the office and they'll come by and they'll be like, hey, I put some money in this meme coin and, I forgot about the account and now all of a sudden it's some ridiculous amount of money. I sat in a Bitcoin room. Some guys just trading digital currency. It's pretty interesting. And they had a whole learning seminar. And they also had a chat room. And they're all trading, coins, different stuff. And it was real interesting. Some of those guys, they knew the guy that bought, Bitcoin and then turned around and bought it with pizza. And then by then, that those couple of Bitcoins that he spent would have been worth zillion amount of money. And
famous story.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people losing their password or it gets hacked, stuff like that. So, and then the same thing on the Forex side, brokers going out underneath overnight. I've had that, I've had stories about that stuff as well. Talk about like what if I was, I came into some money, or let's say I didn't come into some money. Let's say that I just I got a job, I got a 401k, and I'm getting a little bit of money here and there. I've been working overtime, and now I got some money to kind of like put away. I got savings already. Talk about like what I would do to, like, how would I go about hiring somebody, or like what should I look for a financial advisor? Like what are the kind of things outside of like the degree and the licenses and stuff? Like what is it that you find that like a lot of people attract to you?
Most people look for a financial advisor by way of word of mouth. And that makes total sense. That would be what I would recommend. The people that you spend time with, the people that you admire, that you feel like are financially successful, seem to be doing well, and you understand that part of the success is because they're working with someone who's really got their back, that's got really their best interests in mind. Who is that person? So get introduced by people who are advisors through people that you know and that you trust. Because if you trust a friend, if you trust a family member, and they trust their advisor, that's a good step in the right direction. Yes, the certifications are good to know. It's better than not having one, maybe. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great advisor, but you do want someone who's got experience. You do want someone who's seasoned. You do want someone who has got confidence and really feels like that they know what they're talking about. Something else that I would look at is look at their social media. The financial advisor and client relationship, in my view, should be a long-term relationship. Can it be transactional? Yes, but that's really not the healthiest relationship that you want to have with a financial advisor. You want someone that you can depend upon year in and year out for decades, because you're talking about your money. Your money is something that's there to maintain and sustain a wonderful life, to provide for you, your family, your kids, college, retirement. These are life events that happen over spans of years and years and years, and you want that established, trusted crew member on that ship with you at all times, so you're not switching out the position with different people and personalities. So if you find someone that you trust, who's got that experience, who's got that edge, who's got that independent edge, and that you really like as a person, and there's chemistry there, those are some of the really great pieces that you can find with a tremendous advisor that works for you, like your shoe size fitting your foot. And one way you can determine that is through their social media. You can get a taste for their personality. What are they posting? What's happening in their life? What kind of person are they? And you can see that better in social media. Does that mean that if an advisor is not posting on social media, you shouldn't look at them? No, not at all. But it is an additional window into the soul of the person, is it not? So I would recommend taking a look at that in addition to websites, in addition to, again, word of mouth, and see who fits with you in the tangible as well as the intangible spaces.
In terms of the market right now, I know there's like a lot of turmoil. I've been watching my graph go down, my income or my assets go down. I think one of the toughest things is for someone is to not, or I guess they will press the panic button. I think one of the toughest things,
some don't.
Some of the toughest things for an advisor is like just calming them down. Like I think that's probably the hardest, depending on what you're in.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's the toughest thing. Like kind of talk about like if I were to call you up and say, hey, like I'm looking at the market, I'm down X, let's just sell it all. Let's put it into, whatever. Kind of talk me through that.
Okay, I would welcome that call. I've not gotten a call like that yet, but yeah, it's a volatile day. It was yesterday. It will probably be several more later on in the future. But when that happens, I really love it when that happens, if it ever happens. But when that happens, that's an opportunity for me as an advisor to show up. Because when people look at the markets and it goes down and they start to feel anxious and nervous and like, I want to press that panic button, then hang on. Let's remind ourselves that the stock market, the markets themselves, historically speaking, and using history as our guide, that's the only guide that we have, It's one of the most incredible, it's not the only one, but the most incredible long-term wealth accumulation systems that's ever been, ever since we were born. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
And because of that, part of that is a feature, not a malfunction, that days are down. Days will go down. When we have a down day like today or yesterday or who knows, many more coming up, there's going to be far more many bear markets than we can predict between now and the day that you and I die, right? We just don't know when. We don't know how long, how deep. But what we do know is that's a good sign. If we had a market that only went up, we wouldn't call it the market. We would call it a savings account. And we know how effective a savings account is in growing wealth, right?
Right.
So for us to want to, I'm speaking just generically, for us to want to remove the down days, that's like we're asking to remove the great days also. You have to have one so that you can have the other. It's an organic process. It's part of the overall system of the stock market. That's the way it always has been, and that's the way it always will be, if you ask me.
I agree. To our audience, where can they find you, Rick?
My website's salmeronfinancial.com. And like I mentioned, look me up on social media, type in my name, search me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm happy to connect. If you're looking for mini, what I call light bulb moments of money wisdom, I like to post that way and not just the normal, bland, boring kind of stuff that you would see on Investopedia or something like that. So if you're looking for an additional insight, you can find me there too.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having, or actually I was going to say thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure. Take care.